Well, good morning and happy Monday. If you've ever experienced the pleasure of a pint, our next guest book is just for you. The book is called Beerology, Everything You Need to Know to Enjoy Beer Even More. The author of Beerology is Mirella Amato, one of the most highly regarded beer experts on the planet. Mirella is one of only 7 master cicerones, i.e. beer sommeliers, in the world, one of 2 women with that lofty certification, and the only Canadian on the list. Isn't that awesome? Mirella is in town from Toronto for this past weekend's Atlantic Canadian Brewery Awards and joins us now at the Red Table on this Monday morning. It's a pleasure to have you on our show. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah. So I want to get into the book in just a bit, but first, you're in town for the weekend for the Brewing Awards and the events around that. How does Nova Scotia's craft beer scene now stack up to the rest of Canada, you think?
You know what? It's fascinating because the whole country, I think, is seeing a huge boom. And the last time I was in Halifax was 3 years ago, and I'm pretty sure there are 4 times as many breweries as there were back then. And I have had the opportunity to sample quite a few beers, having judged the awards. Of course, I judged them blind, so I don't know what was what. But it was really amazing to see the selection, the different flavors. I was very fortunate to be able to judge the Best of Show, which is the top beer in every category. And I have to say, it was a struggle picking a winner. A lot of amazing beers, a lot of very tasty beers.
Well, just some of the entries, there was over 170 entries in 15 different beer styles. That just speaks to the volume that we're producing here in Nova Scotia, or Atlantic Canada, I should say.
Well, it's more than twice what they were expecting, and it was a big task getting through all of those beers in one evening, but just a great time, and so encouraging to see not only the variety of beers that's out there, but the opportunities I've had this weekend. I did a beer dinner as well as a beer and cheese pairing, and both were packed, so it's great to see that there's an interest not only in sampling a bunch of different beers, but in bringing beer into new contexts and into fine dining and trying it with cheese and being a little bit more playful with beer, because for many years it was a beverage relegated to the pub, and with the selection that is available here now, it's time to explore it in many different contexts.
When is it that we started to see that turn from beer being that kind of pub thing that you'd have, you know, beer and pub food, to now beer is really catching up to wine in terms of being a classy beverage now that you have to put your nose into, and there's different varieties? When did that kind of happen, you think?
Well, we started... Of course, Prohibition is what caused the problem, and after Prohibition, in order to survive, the breweries had to consolidate. They went through acquisitions and mergers, and they pared down their brands, and we got through to a stage where there were only 3 breweries in the country, and in order to survive, they pared down their brands, and the beer landscape ended up being quite flat, not a lot of variety. And in the 70s, we got imports. In the 80s, 1982 was the first craft brewery in Canada. I believe 1985 was the first one here, the Granite Brewery.
Granite Brewery, yeah.
And so what's happened is now beer is not only a golden 4 to 5% alcohol beverage that's delicately flavored with very little bitterness. Now we have a range of imports, craft brewers making all kinds of different beers. I had a cucumber mint beer yesterday, a pumpkin beer yesterday, all kinds of different flavors, all kinds of alcohol contents, ranging from, you know, below 3% alcohol all the way up past 11. And so we have this range to play with now, and that's why people are so why people have the opportunity to pair it with food. I mean, imagine how excited we would be about bringing wine to the table if all we had was a series of, you know, 8 or 9 Chablis to choose from, right? It's all about having that variety of flavors and getting them into people's hands and encouraging people to sample those beers, which is what my work is all about. Beer appreciation. And of course, the book is all about, you know, the basic information that you need to confidently dive in and have fun with beer, because it's an amazing beverage. The book
is just chock full of tips and tricks and things to make you maybe a better beer connoisseur. Is there one tip you can give us in about it? We've got 30 seconds to a minute left here. One tip for...
This is my crusade right now. Always pour your beer out. I'm still seeing a lot of people drinking straight from the bottle or can, or establishments serving straight from the bottle or can, and there are 2 issues with that. The first one is you cannot smell the beer. If you're drinking straight from the bottle, your nose doesn't have access to it, and as we all know, Our sense of smell really informs how we taste things. The other thing is the brewer is expecting you to pour that beer out. So the beer is actually slightly overcarbonated in the container so that when you pour it out, and you're supposed to pour it out so it knocks out some foam and you have a little bit of foam on the top. And if you don't do that, that carbonation that's supposed to break out into the foam is still in the bottle, and you end up consuming a lot more carbonation. It can get uncomfortable.
Wow. So
Yeah.
always drink your beer from a glass.
Always.
And then, of
pour it
course, we
out.
could get into a whole other topic of what glass to pair with what beer.
Yes, but that's in my book.
That's in
Don't
the
panic.
book. You're right, right. And, of course, copies of your book will be available tonight. You're doing a big book launch. It's at Lion and Bright tonight from 6 until 8 p.m. Tickets are still available and includes a signed copy of Beerology.
Absolutely. It's also widely available on Amazon, bookstores.
Right.
Yes,
Excellent.
I'm really excited about tonight.
Your first book?
It is my first book.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,